Hello everyone and welcome back to JavaScript lessons on Codecademy. So last time we finished off by learning how to use arrays and for loops to access certain elements in an array or to more usefully access those elements in an array. So today we're going to be using a lot of the things that we have learned to start a project, and then in the next lesson we're going to be finishing the project. So let's get started by seeing what the project actually is. So in this project you'll be writing a short program that checks a block of text for your name. Specifically, it will check the text for the first letter of your name, then push or add the number of characters equal to your name's length to an array. By inspecting the array, you'll be able to see if your name was mentioned. So that's quite cool. Once you've got the hang of loops, arrays, and if statements, we'll talk about ways this project could be improved. So some of this code will be new to you, but we shouldn't worry, we'll go through it step by step. So we need to click Save and Submit Code to begin. Let's just quickly look through it. So we have a string variable called text, then we have a variable my name, and in this case it's Eric, variable hits, which is on a blank list or empty array, or whatever you want to call it. I'll be calling it an empty array, I think. And then we have a for loop, which looks for E in the text, because E is the first letter of Eric. So we have I equals 0, I less than the length of our string. So the length of a string is counted by how many characters, so blank spaces are also counted. And you can use a string just like an array, so the first character is at position 0, the second character is at position 1, just like in an array. So if text I is equal to E, we find that, then we go through another loop and we make a new variable j and make it equal to I, which I is going to be a certain number, and that number is going to be depending on the position that the character was found in. And then we increase j each time, and I don't actually know what push does, so I cannot explain everything. But let's see the last if. So I don't know how to completely explain this, but let's see what this if and else statements do. We have if the length of hits is 0, your name wasn't found. Else, print the name or the hits that were found. So I'm guessing that's going to print your name if it was found. So let's save and submit code and hopefully learn how we can do this. So let's start off by declaring our variables. We will be using 3 variables at this time. So we have a variable text, my name, and hits. There we go. Since text could be quite long, you can use a backslash at the end of each line to make your string wrap to the next line, like this. So hey, how are you? Backslash doing my name is Emily. Okay, that's actually quite useful. In this way, using backslash is very useful because you can avoid really long lines. You can ignore the comment line for now, okay? All that does is tell the console to stop worrying about our use of backslash characters for wrapping long lines of text. But it's a comment. Is it gonna work? Oh well. Whatever. Declare and set the following 3 variables. So text, and make it a string containing some text. Place your name in there a couple of times. So let's do Mihai, blah blah blah, whatever. Actually, I'll do normal capitalization, and there we go. So a couple of times, I'll just do it twice, and then I'll do the backslash method there because it told me to. Or wait, what if I put the semicolon there? That doesn't really. Oh, it's the other backslash, never mind. Now, yes, there we go. Now it actually works. Good. my name and make it a string containing just your name. Okay, we can do that. Hits and make it an empty array. Easy. So if we're stuck, we can get a hint, but we are not. And I have no idea why that gets printed out, because, oh, no, I need to do var equals that. That's probably why it got printed out. Let's check now. Sorry about that. I didn't realize. 7 submit. There we go, nothing gets printed out, which means that our code is fine. Your first for loop, and I'm guessing we're going to be making a for loop. Now let's write our outer for loop. I was correct. Below your existing code, create a for loop that starts at 0. Let's do my normal for loop layout. So I equals 0. Continues until it reaches the end of text and increments by 1 each time. So while I is less than the length of text. Oops. And increments by 1 each time. There we go. There is no need to write anything between the curly brackets of your loop just yet. Okay, that's good. So let's move on. Your if statement. So now let's move on to the if statement. We want to place the if statement inside our for loop to make sure the program checks the if statement each time it moves forward through the loop. Essentially, the for loop is saying, hey program, go through every letter in text. The if statement will say, if you see something interesting, push the text into an array. Okay, I don't quite understand that, but let's see the examples. You can treat a string like an array of characters, as I said before. So for instance, you know that my array hello, world, so you have 2 characters, hello world. My array, my array 0 equals hello, and my array 1 would equal world. You can also have a string, so in this case it's variable my name and Eric. My name 0 equals E, my name 1 equals R, my name 2 equals I, and my name 3 equals C. So it's very similar to an array. There are certain few things that you can't do with a string that you can do with an array, but I don't remember what those are, and for now we're not interested in those anyway. So what we need to do is add our if statement, in the body of your for loop. It should check to see whether the current letter is equal to the first letter of your name. So capitalization counts. There's no need to put anything between the curly brackets of your if just yet. So if, what do we want to do? If my name and the first letter is equal to text and I. Oops, yeah, of course, I forgot the curly brackets. I will explain what this does in just a moment. 7 submit, there we go. So what this does is I'm getting the first character of my name, which in this case is a capital M, and checking if it equals the current character that I would be in the string, in the text string. And I will delete that because it's kind of annoying, because I have an extra line there. And so if it does equal, so if those two things are equal, so if the character that I'm looking at in the string is equal to the first character in my name, then we need to do a certain thing. And that certain thing, I'm guessing we're going to be doing next. So let's move on. I'll copy and paste that. Okay. Your second for loop. Okay, so last loopy step. Okay, whatever that's supposed to mean. Add another for loop, this time inside the body of your if statement, between the if's curly brackets. This loop will make sure each character of your name gets pushed to the final array. The if statement says if we find the first letter of the name start the second for loop. So this loop says I'm going to add characters to the array until I hit the length of the user's name. So if your name is 11 letters long, your loop should add 11 characters to hits if it ever sees the first letter of my name in text. Okay, so for your second for loop, keep the following in mind. Firstly, you'll want to set your second loop's iterator to start at the first one, so it picks up where that one left off. Okay, that makes sense. If your first loop starts with I equals 0, then this one would start with j equals I. Okay, so let's do that right now, and I'll add those statements later on. Second, think hard about when your loop should stop. Check the hint if you get stuck. So when would it stop? Okay. Oh, so that's the task. When would it stop? It would stop at what j currently is plus the length of our name. So that means that we need to do stop at j less than j plus my name dot length. If it works, I will explain it a bit more in detail. So finally, in the body of your loop, have your program to use .push. And actually we need an j++ there, because we're incrementing it by 1. So finally, in the body of your loop, have your program use the .push method of hits. Just like strings and arrays have the .length method, arrays have a .push method, okay, that adds the thing between the parentheses to the end of the array. Interesting. So we need to add the character, or the character to an array, and our array is called hits. We need to do .push, and whatever that is in text, I believe. This should work. There we go. Let's save and submit code, and come on. If it doesn't take ages, and if it's not an infinite loop, and hopefully, okay, yeah. Continue. I have no idea what happened there. It might be an infinite loop. Okay, sorry about this. I will be back. So I found what the problem is. It is an infinite loop, and my browser didn't crash because it's a good browser, unlike Mozilla Firefox. No sponsorship there, but it is an infinite loop, and the infinite loop is this for loop here, and that's because I'm checking if j is less than j plus the length of something, and also at the same time increasing j. So this is always going to keep increasing by 1, and this is also going to keep increasing by 1. So they're never going to, that's always going to be true. Therefore, I have an infinite loop. So how you can fix this is, instead of putting j there, put I, and it should work. But just in case it doesn't, I will put parentheses there, just to tell the program that that's what it should execute first, because I want that to be added together and then compared to j. So now if we do this, let's see what happens. So 10 is printed out for some reason. I have no idea why. Hopefully that works out. So go ahead and add that second for loop inside the body of your if statement. Let's check the hint. Okay, we don't need that. So let's move on. So log it. Perfect, now you got the engine of your search program running. It will loop through an array, compare each letter to the first letter of your name, and if it sees that letter, it will push that letter and all the letters that follow it to an array, stopping when the number of letters it pushes are equal to the number of letters in your name. That's a mouthful. Under your existing code, and outside of all for loops, set up an if-else statement. If you don't have any hits, log your name wasn't found to the console, otherwise log the hits array to the console. So if something, then do something, else do something else. So if the hits, so if the length of hits is equal to 0, then we need to tell the user that their name wasn't found, or literally your name wasn't found, okay, because that's what they require us to do, otherwise I don't think it's going to work. Otherwise, log the hits array to the console. There we go. Oops, I put a comma there for some reason. And let's check, and that works perfectly. I don't know why you have my name twice. I'm not sure about that, but it might explain it to us, and that's how it was in the example as well. So let's move on. You've done it, nice work, yay! Now as we mentioned, the system isn't perfect. For instance, if the paragraph contains both Eric and Eddie, we'll see this in our hits array. So you have Eric and both Eric and Eddie. Think about how you might fine-tune this program to make sure it only finds exact matches for your name. Search the internet to see if there are any built-in JavaScript string methods that can help you. So in the meantime, click Save and Submit Code to finish the course and move on to JavaScript goodness. And we get another badge. That's nice. So I know that for Python you can literally check if a string is inside a string. And if it is, then you can do something, which might come in handy. And if that is possible in JavaScript, then you can do that. Also, once you've found the name, before actually printing it out, you can compare it to the name, and if it isn't the name, then redo the whole process, but skipping the name that you found to be incorrect, and then repeating that until you find the name, or until you get to the end of the string and you haven't found the name that you're looking for. So those are just things that you might want to try out yourselves. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please share and like. If you learned something new, please tell me in the comments down below. I like hearing about what you have learned. Also, if you didn't like the video, tell me why you didn't like it so that I can improve for next time, so that you can actually like my video. Yay! So yeah, until that next time, thank you so much for watching again, and goodbye.